Good morning, dear students. Welcome to session number 2 of the chapter The Voter by Chinua Achebe. In the previous class, we have been introduced to two characters of the short story The Voter, Rufus Okeke and Marcus Ibe. Rufus Okeke, otherwise known as Roof, was a very young, energetic man, very much popular in his village, and all the villagers appreciated him particularly for one reason. Roof was not like other young men of his village who went to city in order to seek work. Though he had been to the city, Port Harcourt, and was working there as a bicycle repairer's apprentice, he felt that there was a need to return to his village to guide his people. So he gave up his bright career and came back to his village to lead them. Anyhow, the village was already under the guidance of their leader, Marcus Ibe. Marcus Ibe was one of the leaders of People's Alliance Party, and he was also the Minister of Culture. Villagers had different opinions about him. They all appreciated him as he was very much hardworking. Even then, there was a rumor that Marcus Ibe entered politics in order to escape from his dismissal as a mission school teacher. A female teacher had complained against him, and in order to escape this, he had joined politics. But after joining politics, he became wealthy. He was conferred many titles and doctorate degrees, and the money and prosperity that he had, or the titles that he received, brought him again to the good books of the villages. And they always said that he remained devoted to his people. That is why whenever he got time, he came to his village to see how his people lived. He built a huge mansion in his village. He named it Umofia Mansions, just to honor his village, they said. And again, he did not forget his people. On the day the housewarming ceremony was held, when the house was inaugurated by the Archbishop, he offered a grand feast to his villagers, which made them very much happy. So they always thought he never forgot them. But they did not understand one thing. How can politics bring you all these things? Till then, Marcus Ibe was just an ordinary citizen, an ordinary man of their village, and now he is so wealthy, prosperous, and though the village was in backward situation, village did not have electricity or running water, Marcus Ibe had all these facilities at his new house, Umofia Mansions. So the people were, poor, illiterate men, and even then they could realize that politics had done some magic to him. So this time another election was going to happen, and they decided that they are not going to cast their votes in favor of Marcus Ibe free of charge. Rufus Okeke, who was working as one of the campaign boys of Marcus Ibe, had already understood the change in the thoughts of the voters, and he had already warned the minister regarding it. It was till then that we had seen in the previous class. Now let's continue further. Everyone was full of praise for him, one old man said. So praise for him. Who was praised? Marcus Ibe, when he offered a grand feast on account of the inauguration of his home, Umofia Mansions, he was praised by the villagers. One old man said, "Our son is a good man. He is not like the mortar which, as soon as food comes its way, turns its back on the ground." Now, mortar is a small wooden or stone bowl in which the food particles are ground into paste. And it is an integral part of Nigerian kitchen. So what is the duty of a mortar? Mortar just crushes the ingredients that come to it. So this is again a proverb from African language, from a Nigerian background. So they said, our son refers to Marcus Ibe, the Minister of Culture. Our son Marcus Ibe, he's a very nice person and he will never, turn his back on the people of Umofia. He'll always remember us, they said. But when the feasting was over, the villagers told themselves that they had underrated the power of the ballot paper before and should not do so again. But at the time of the feast, they remembered him, they thanked him, they were full of praise for him. But after the feast got over, they had some time to think about what had happened earlier. They had seen the house, they were quite happy with the feast, but they said, we did not understand how powerful the voters are. The ballot paper is the paper on which you cast your vote. It's so powerful. We made him the minister and today he has all the comforts. He enjoys being a minister, the minister of culture as well. We underestimated our own power, they told each other. So they understood that this time they should not offer their votes free of charge. Chief, the Honorable Marcus Ibe, was not unprepared. And what about Marcus Ibe? He was also not unprepared. Not unprepared means he was prepared. He knew very well. 5 years people have seen him. But here onwards they might think in a different way. He already knew and Roof had warned him as well. So he was prepared for that. He had drawn 5 months' salary in advance, changed a few £100 into shining shillings, and armed his campaign boys with eloquent little jute bags. So what did Marcus Ibe do? What preparation did he make in order to meet his voters? He at first took 5 months' salary in advance and salary came in pounds. What did he do? He got a few £100 into change. He changed into shillings. Now 12 shillings is equal to 1 pound. And all these coins, pound came in the form of a note and shillings were in the form of coins. So all these coins he took and he gave them to his campaign boys. Campaign boys were assisting him in doing the campaigning. So he gave them these shining shillings. Shining, it stands for the attraction that it has. He put them in eloquent little jute bag. Eloquent means decorated, beautifully decorated jute bags he had purchased. In that he put all the shining shillings. He offered them to these boys. And what would be their duty, we can all imagine. So he was prepared to bribe his voters. In the day he made his speeches. At night his stalwarts conducted their whispering campaign. Roof was the most trusted of these campaigners. So what did he do during the daytime? He met people, meetings were organized, he spoke to them, he gave them promises. And at night his stalwarts means his trusted men, his loyal supporters. Stalwart means a loyal supporter. So his supporters at night organized whispering campaign. Whispering campaign means secret campaign. At night they went from house to house. They met the people in secret. They were asking for the votes of these people. And what was the duty of Roof? Roof was one such campaigner. He was one of the most trusted of the campaigners in the service of Marcus Ibe. So this is how Marcus Ibe prepared himself to meet his people, to get the votes of his villagers. We have a minister from our village, one of our own sons. He said to a group of elders in the house of Ogbufi Ezenwa, a man of high traditional title. So now it is the turn of Roof. We are going to see how Roof was conducting his campaign, his whispering campaign at night. He was speaking to a group of elders. Elders referred to the senior members of the clan, the Igbo clan, and they had gathered in the house of Ogbufi Ezenwa. He was a man of high traditional title. He held a senior position among the clan members. So they had gathered there. So he was speaking to them. As Roof addressed them, he said, "See, we have a minister from our own village. What greater honor can a village have? Do you ever stop to ask yourselves why we should be singled out for this honor?" Now he was asking the villagers, the elders, "See, do you know why we have been singled out, why we have been given a favor by the members of this party? Have you ever thought why we have been honored like this?" I will tell you. It is because we are favored by the leaders of PAP. And whether or not we cast our papers for Marcus, PAP will continue to rule. Think of the pipe-borne water they have promised us. Pipe-borne water means the running water which comes through the pipe. So he said, see, we have been honored just for one reason. PAP, People's Alliance Party, that is in power, they favor us. You know why they favor us? They have got some sort of attachment to us. Now, what we have to do is, we have to elect Marcus Ibe. Whether we give our votes to Marcus Ibe or not, whether he wins the election or not, who will come to power? PAP will come to power. So always remember, if PAP comes to power, definitely Marcus Ibe, if he gets elected, he will become the Minister of Culture. So remember the promise that they have given. If he is re-elected and if he becomes the minister, there is always a scope for us to have the pipe-borne water. So think of the development of the village. So for that sake at least, we have to elect Marcus Ibe. And Roof conveniently forgot the fact that Marcus Ibe had 5 years to bring development to his village, and he did not do anything other than bringing a private plant or building a private plant to supply electricity to his own house. Besides Roof and his assistant, there were 5 elders in the room. An old hurricane lamp with a cracked, sooty glass chimney gave out yellowish light in their midst. So they had gathered in the house of Ogbufi Ezenwa, one of the elders, and they were sitting around a lamp. There was a yellow light provided by the lamp, and hurricane lamp, it refers to a lamp with a glass covering. And since it was burning for a long time, it had become blackish. Sooty is blackish in color. And again, the glass was a cracked one. This all speaks about the situation, the status of these village elders. They were not so rich to have this, to have a better state. The elders sat on low stools. On the floor, directly in front of each of them, lay 2 shilling pieces. Outside, beyond the fastened door, the moon kept a straight face. And now see the next thing, in front of each of the elders, 2 shilling pieces were kept on the floor. It was not in their hands but on the floor. They were sitting on stools around a hurricane lamp. And again, outside the house, moon was shining. Moon kept a straight face means moon was shining. So they were all sitting inside the house and the door was fastened. Fastened means closed. So discussion was going on, whispering campaign was going on. "We believe every word you say to be true," said Ezenwa. "We shall, every one of us, drop his paper for Marcus. Who would leave an Ozo feast and go to a poor ritual meal? Tell Marcus he has our papers and our wives' papers too." But what we do say is that 2 shillings is shameful. So what did the villagers say? How did the elders respond? They said, whatever you have said is true. Marcus is our own son. Marcus is the Minister of Culture. He will always remember the promise that he has given us, and PAP is favoring us. We do accept everything. So you can straight away go to him and tell him that we will drop our paper for Marcus. Dropping paper means casting our vote. Our votes are for Marcus. You go and tell him, my paper as well as my wife's paper, it is for Marcus. No doubt. And why do we give our votes for Marcus? Who would leave an Ozo feast? Now, Ozo is one of the prominent festivals, a magico religious festival of the people of Igbo clan. And when this festival is organized, naturally there is a feast associated with that. And the feast is a symbol of abundance of food. All sorts of food varieties would be there. So an Ozo feast symbolizes the abundance of food. It also symbolizes the prosperity of Igbo culture. So they were asking, who would leave an Ozo feast and go for a poor ritual meal? Poor ritual meal stands for the everyday daily bread. Who would leave an Ozo feast? If there is a feast offered to us, definitely we would go for it. Which means Marcus, if elected, would definitely mind us, and we are always supporting him. So we know that he would bring prosperity to us, he would bring abundance to us. So don't worry, our votes are for him. But we have a disagreement. 2 shillings is too shameful. He has just offered 2 shillings, and that too for 2 votes. That's too shameful, they said. He brought the lamb close and tilted it at the money before him, as if to make sure he had not mistaken its value. So what did he do? He brought the lamb. He did not take the money. He did not touch the money. Instead, he brought the lamb close to the money, and he was just ensuring that it's only 2 shillings that was lying on the floor. And then he said, 2 shillings is too shameful. If Marcus were a poor man, which our ancestors forbid, I should be the first to give him my paper free, as I did before. But today, Marcus is a great man and does his things like a great man. So, these elders were reminding Rufus Okeke of one thing. They said, 2 shillings that you have offered us, or Marcus has offered us, that's too shameful. Why? Because Marcus is a great man. And a great man has to do the things in a great way. He has been doing great things. So if he offers just 2 shillings to us, it does not show his greatness. So we feel that is below his greatness. So he has to give us a little more. And we did not ask him for money yesterday. We shall not ask him tomorrow. But today is our day. And have we ever asked Marcus anything before? Never. We didn't ask him yesterday, and tomorrow when he becomes the Minister of Culture, we are sure we would never be able to approach him for that as well. But today is our day. You should understand the fact that today Marcus has to give us. So we are asking it today. And again, Marcus is not a poor man. Earlier he was a poor man. We gave our votes free of charge. Today he is a wealthy man, he is a rich man, he has got all the luxury and comforts that he needs. So he needs to give us something in a great manner. We have climbed the Iroko tree today and would be foolish not to take down all the firewood we need. So this is again another proverb from the African culture, Nigerian culture. Climbing an Iroko tree and coming down without taking all the firewood. Now, Iroko tree is also known as African teak wood. It's used for timber, it's also used as firewood. And the peculiarity of the tree is that it grows so tall and then the branches will start spreading. So climbing an Iroko tree is slightly difficult. So once you climb the iroko tree, what should you do? You should collect maximum firewood that you can. So here they are bringing this into their own lives and they are saying, see, we are not foolish elders to climb the tree and come back without collecting maximum firewood. We are not foolish. Marcus IB cannot fool us. When we ask, you have to give us. And we would try to collect maximum money from him. So here collecting firewood stands for the benefits that they are going to ask from Marcus IB. So very clearly the elders had stated, you are offering us money and we are trying to get maximum. We are not ready to accept 2 shillings for casting our votes. Roof had to agree. He had lately been taking down a lot of firewood himself. So the moment elders said that, Roof understood. Because Roof himself was collecting a lot of firewood, which means Roof was taking a lot of advantages. He was collecting a lot of benefits from Marcus IB after he had joined his service. Only yesterday, he had asked Marcus for one of his many rich robes and he had got it. Now, this is one of the benefits that he had got as he was in the service of Marcus IB, as he was one of his most trusted campaign boys. Marcus is very much wealthy. He has got a lot of money. He had got a lot of robes. Rich robes. Rich means expensive and decorated. Robe is nothing but a long garment worn, a traditional garment worn by the Africans, a cloak kind of garment. So he just asked Marcus, Rufus, okay, just asked Marcus, you have lot many rich robes and will you just give me one? And immediately he got one. So that is one of the benefits that he had got. Last Sunday, Marcus' wife, the teacher that nearly got him into trouble, had objected, like the woman she was, when Roof pulled out his 5th bottle of beer from the refrigerator. So here, Chinua Achebe tells us that earlier when Marcus IB was a mission school teacher, a lady, a colleague had given a complaint against him and today she is his wife. And Roof says that she is always a complaining sort of woman, always objecting to everything that we did. So only the last Sunday when he visited Marcus' house and he opened the refrigerator to take out the 5th bottle of beer. Beer stands for the alcoholic drink. So he was pulling out the 5th bottle from the refrigerator and the woman objected. Marcus IB's wife objected. She was roundly and publicly rebuked by her husband. Rebuked means scolded. Immediately she was scolded by her husband. So what does this incident prove? Marcus IB prefers his campaign boys above his wife. And again, that shows how much trust Marcus IB had on Rufus OKK because he needed his campaign boys for the election. And that is one of the benefits that he had got. To cap it all means in addition to everything. Roof had won a land case recently because, among other things, he had been chauffeur driven to the disputed sites. So this is another benefit that he had, or another firewood that he had collected. Roof had won a land case. There was a case going on. There was a case regarding disputed land. And on the day of judgment or before judgment, when the judges or the jurymen came to see the disputed site, Roof also had to go. And how did Roof go? He was chauffeur driven. Chauffeur means an official driver. He was taken there in Marcus IB's official car by his official driver. And naturally the jurymen or the judges might have seen that, and he won the land case just because the jurymen felt that he was powerful. Again, what does this point at? This points at the fact that even the judiciary is corrupted. So he understood the elders about the firewood. So when the elders spoke about firewood, Rufus OKK understood everything. Because just as the elders are arguing for more money, he also had been collecting lot of firewood. So firewood here represents the advantages that you can have being a voter, or the benefits that Ruth had been collecting. Ruth had three benefits as mentioned in the chapter. The first one, he got one of the rich robes from Marcus Abe when he asked for it. And then even he was preferred over his wife, and his wife got scolding when she objected to Rufus Okeke pulling out the alcoholic drinks bottles from the refrigerator. And the third one, he was even able to win a land case because he was chauffeur driven. He was taken there in his Marcus official car. All these things tell us that Ruth had been collecting firewood. So he understood when the elders demanded more money, he understood why they were saying so. All right, he said in English and then reverted to Igbo. Now Igbo is the language of Igbo clan. So when the elders demanded money, when the elders reminded Rufus Okeke that Marcus was a great man has to do things in a great way, and 2 shillings is too shameful for them to accept, he immediately said, all right, again in English. And again that speaks about their interest in learning English, or telling others a few words in English would give them a prominence over them. And immediately he came back to his own language, Igbo. Let's not quarrel about small things. There's no quarrel. Let's not quarrel. You have demanded, and let me put a full stop to the quarrel. He stood up, adjusted his robes, and plunged his hand once more into the bag. Then what did he do? He just got up. He had eloquent little jute bags where shining shillings had been kept. He put his hand, plunged his hand means put his hand into the jute bag, and he took out some shillings. Then he bent down like a priest, distributing the host, and gave 1 shilling more to every man. So what did he do? He just bent down. They were all sitting on low stools, and in front of them, near to the 2 shillings that he had already kept, 1 more shilling he kept in front of each man. And it was almost done in a ceremonious way, just as a priest would be distributing the host after the mass. So in a very ceremonious way, he just gave it to every man. Only he did not put it into their palms, but on the floor in front of them. And did he give it into their hands? No, they had also not touched it. He just put it on the floor. The men who had so far not deigned to touch the things looked at the floor and shook their heads. So what did the men do? Were the elders happy? Were Ogbufi, Ezenwa happy? No. So they shook their heads. They looked at the shilling that had been kept in front of them, and so far they had not touched. Once you touch, it means that you have accepted it. They were just looking at it and then shook their head, saying that no, this is not enough. Ruth got up again and gave each man another shilling. And what did Ruth do? He immediately got up. He thought, okay, fine, let me give 1 more shilling to each one of them. He put 1 more shilling. So total 4 shillings were given to each and every elder. I am true, he said with a defiance that was no less effective for being transparently fit. And after giving these shilling pieces, what did he say? I am through, I am done. Because he started feeling, see, you can demand, but there is a limit to the demand. So the village elders had been asking, he had been giving them more, so double that he was expected to give them, he had already provided them. So now he felt that they were just transparently in front of everybody, they were trying to cheat him, he felt. So he said, I am done. The elders too knew how far to go without losing decorum. So when Ruth added, go cast your paper for the enemy if you like, they quickly calmed him down with a suitable speech from each of them. So the villagers also knew how far they can go, how much can they demand. Again, they are the village elders, they are the senior members of the clan. They cannot lose their decency. So without losing their decorum and decency, how far can they go? How much can they demand? They also knew. So after saying I am through, Roof said, now if you want, you go and cast your vote for enemy. More than this, I cannot give, Marcus Abbey cannot give. When he said that, they immediately calmed him down. No, we did not say anything. We are happy with what you have given. They tried to calm Roof down. By the time the last man had spoken, it was possible without great loss of dignity to pick up the things from the floor. And each one of the elders addressed Roof. They said thank you. They again praised Marcus, and finally they felt their dignity was not lost, because they are village elders and they don't have the practice of begging for money. They can only demand money. So without losing their dignity, they had demanded money, they had got money now, and they just took the money from the floor. They felt they had got more than what they had expected. And Rufus Okeke, though he was a little upset when the leaders were not quite happy with the money he had given, he thought he himself had been collecting firewood, and let them also have a chance. So today, my dear students, we have seen how the process of election campaigning goes on. It is not the campaigning that happens only from morning till evening. It happens at night. It's the whispering campaign, secret campaigning, trying to bribe the voters. And again, the voters also know that they can expect more and more. So there is this argument over money that goes on. So in the next class, we will see what happens after the campaigning is done and what happens in the elections. Thank you.